Days 1 through 9, New England. So this was kind of a tryout trip that my husband and I took together because he came to the States with me. And here's the perfect place and time to say thank you to him. He's my partner in life and partner in crime. And even though he doesn't always understand and definitely does not always approve, but he always supports. So we waltzed through Connecticut and Rhode Island. We spent a day in Boston taking the tour of the harbor and visiting the site of the famous Cheers bar. And then we continued on to Acadia National Park. It was a first night of camping, and we tried out all our camping equipment. And then we spent the next day just wandering the park and driving the beautiful Cadillac Mountain Road with amazing views of the park and the mountains and the bay and the islands in the bay. We spent a day in Bangor, Maine, where we discovered the cutest place called Bagel Central with very tasty bagels. And we also went to a shooting range. And oh my God, am I good with guns or what? We took a trip out to Lubeck Point, which is the easternmost point in the contiguous 48 states. And it is so far east that if you walk another 10 feet, the time on your phone switches by 1 hour because it thinks you are in the next time zone. We also passed Poland Spring, where they bottle Poland Spring water. And I also had to do some work, but it turns out if this is your office space, then it's pretty much enjoyable. And then in New Hampshire, we rode an antique railroad, which was very cute. And then we drove up Mount Washington. It is the tallest mountain in the eastern United States, almost 7,000 feet. And it is famous for having set the record for the highest measured wind speed on Earth, 230 miles an hour. Which is like almost 400 kilometers an hour. Now, I'm not scared of heights at all. I can stand on a cliff or on a tall building and look down with absolutely no problem. But the road there is very steep and very narrow and very winding, and there is no guardrail. So I was really having a hard time making it up to the top. And when we got there, even in the visitor's book, I wrote down that we made it up and I'm not sure how we're going to make it down. But in the end, going down was not nearly as traumatic as going up. And it's actually very good that this was what we did at the very beginning, because since then I drove through the Rocky Mountains and Sierra Nevada and Beartooth and the Appalachians, and nothing was ever as difficult and scary as Mount Washington. So it gave me a very good inoculation for mountain driving for the rest of the trip. In Vermont, we visited fourth-generation family-owned farm that makes maple syrup. And all these bottles that you see, this is syrup from one tree. And depending on the temperature outside, when they get the sap out, it changes completely in color and in texture and in taste. In upstate New York, we went to the only working water mill run by a retired merchant marine captain, and he showed us around, and that was very interesting. And also to the site of the Shaker Christian cult that had a colony there. And it turns out I have a real thing for cults. And then we went to a real old-fashioned diner that even had a jukebox. And then to cap it all off, on the way back home, we stopped at the Vanderbilt Mansion in Hyde Park, New York. And what can I tell you? It must have been very nice to be a Vanderbilt.